Friends, it's indeed a great pleasure for me to welcome all of you to this series of sessions that we have planned on various aspects of Companies Act 2013. We are starting with the managerial remuneration and the managerial appointment. And why is that so? That is because that is one aspect of the Companies Act which is of interest to everyone in the corporate world. When we talk about the managerial remuneration or the managerial appointment, what we realize that by default section 198 comes in. As all of you would have noticed, when you read section 196, 197, you would have noticed that many times there is a reference to section 198. And what this section 198 is? This section 198 is about the profit which forms the ceiling for the managerial remuneration as per section 197. And therefore, for us to get a good handle on the section 196, 197, schedule 5, I thought it is necessary that we must have a good understanding of section 198. And why is that so? That is because if the provisions of section 198 are not clear, and we are looking at section 197, where there is a reference time and again to section 198, we would not be able to correlate and comprehend the provisions of section 197 as well. Therefore, what we have planned to have two separate sessions. To begin with, we will have session on section 198, followed by another session, and that's where we would cover section 196, section 197, and also schedule 5, which is directly connected with the managerial appointment and managerial remuneration. While on the subject, we are also aware that section 198, or the profit calculated as per section 198, is not only relevant for section 197, but it is also relevant for section 135, which is on corporate social responsibility. So having a good understanding of section 198 would not only help us in dealing with the provisions of section 196, 197 and schedule 5, it would also help us in the context of section 35, which is for the CSR, corporate social responsibility. I am sure, friends, one question that must have crossed minds of every one of you so many times, and that is, what are the imperatives for the managerial remuneration or the managerial appointment? Why these provisions are there in Companies Act 2013? In my understanding, there are three imperatives, and those three imperatives are: number one, managerial personnel take bigger risk and they take bigger responsibilities. So obviously, when somebody is taking bigger responsibility, when somebody is taking responsibility of delivering results, big results, of managing the entire company, then such managerial people need to be remunerated suitably and accordingly. Imperative number two, why is this section 197 or 196 or schedule 5, why is that the government did not do away with section 196, 197 and schedule 5? Why did they incorporate these three provisions in the Companies Act? And that is because if you give a free hand to the promoters with regard to the appointment and the managerial remuneration to the managerial personnel, there is a full possibility of these provisions being misused, and thereby the non-controlling shareholders would be at a loss, And that is the second imperative as to why section 196, 197 and schedule 5 are there in the Companies Act 2013. And finally, of course, another reason as to why these sections are there, and that is because if you put too many controls, I am sure you would have noticed that over the years, and particularly in the Companies Act 2013, provisions relating to the managerial appointment and managerial remuneration, more about the managerial remuneration, have been liberated to a large extent. And why is that? That is because if you put too many restrictions on the payment of managerial remuneration to the managerial people, then the weak companies or the companies which are struggling or companies which are not doing well, they will find it challenging to get capable people and competent people. Thereby, their operations will be impacted adversely. So these are the three imperatives that we have to bear in mind. What is the program, what is the schedule that we have, or what are the course content that we are going to cover in this entire series of 2 programs? Number one, though section 198 comes after section 196 and 197, but as I said in the beginning, we will need to first have a good understanding of section 198. So we start the session and we divide the entire series in 2 parts. So part 1 we will have discussion on section 198, and in part 2 we'll have discussion on section 196, 197 and schedule 5. So this is the plan that we have. So starting with section 198, we will go to the section 196 about the appointment of managing director, whole-time director and or manager, and then section 197 which is about the ceilings on the managerial remuneration, and then we also talk about schedule 5. So this is the plan, friends, that we have as part of this entire series of 2 programs. Now, why we are having this series? What is the purpose behind having this series? Why this series of sessions on section 196, 197, schedule 5 and section 198? So the purpose of this series is to present in a very simplified yet in an extremely comprehensive manner provisions of sections 196, 197, 198 and schedule 5 of the Companies Act 2013 relating to appointment of managerial personnel and ceiling on remuneration to them, so that there is a total clarity about interrelationship among all these sections and schedule 5. So that is the purpose. So the purpose is to bring complete clarity between section 196, 197, 198 and schedule 5, and how are they connected with each other, how are they related with each other, and how are they contextual to each other. That is the purpose of this series that we have planned on managerial remuneration and the managerial appointment. So we start the first part, and the first part is calculation of profit as per section 198. Now incidentally, though we are discussing section 198 in the context of managerial appointment and remuneration, remember section 198 is verbatim applicable to section 135 also. So as I said earlier, our understanding of section 198 is not only going to help us in the context of section 197, it is also going to help us in the context of section 135. So what is the purpose of this session on section 198? Let us be very clear about it at the very beginning. So the purpose of this session that we have on section 198 is to know as to how to compute profit as per section 198. Now incidentally, friends, when you look at heading of section 198, it says calculation of profit. When you go inside the body of section 198, you would see that it says computation of net profit. And when you really sit down and start computing profit as per section 198, you would realize that the profit that you are calculating is not just profit, it is not just net profit. What you are calculating is the profit before tax, And remember, it is profit before tax, but not the PBT that you would calculate for the purpose of financial reporting. This PBT that you will calculate under section 198, remember, is completely different from the PBT that you would calculate for the purpose of financial reporting. So that is our purpose behind having this session on section 198, so that there is a complete clarity and there is no confusion. There is no confusion. You know for sure as to what is the requirement of section 197 and what you have to do, what you have to calculate for the section 198, and that is the purpose. Number two, reason as to why the Companies Act has section 198. So एक सवाल ये भी आता है कि भाई ये सेक्शन 198 को कंपनीज एक्ट में डालने की ज़रूरत क्या पड़ी. द गवर्नमेंट शुड हैव सेड कि भाई जो भी आपका नेट प्रॉफिट बनता है वो जो आप फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग के लिए करते हैं उस नेट प्रॉफिट के बेसिस पे, उस प्रॉफिट के बेसिस पे यू वर्क आउट योर सीलिंग्स अंडर सेक्शन 197 एंड अप्लाई देम टू योर बिजनेस. Remember, there is a definite purpose of the government behind introducing section 198 in the Companies Act. And what is that purpose? What is that purpose? And I would urge all of you that be clear about this purpose at this point in time only, because then it will make your life easy when it comes to computation of profit under section 198. So what is the purpose? The purpose is, please remember, managerial personnel are appointed to run the operations of the business and generate profit from the operations of the business. And therefore, if a limit has to be set with regard to the maximum remuneration that can be paid to them, has to be linked with the amount of profit that they have earned from the operations of the company. Please remember, from the operations of the company. Meaning what? Meaning if a business sells a unit or sells a piece of land and thereby makes huge profit. Now this huge profit obviously cannot be considered for deciding the profit, the ceiling of managerial remuneration. And why is that so? Because this profit that the business has earned is not coming from the operations. So to this profit which is coming from the sale of the asset, there is no contribution of the managerial personnel. So if there is no contribution of the managerial personnel in earning the profit from the sale of an asset, then the question is, why should this be part of the profit? And that is what, if you understand, I can tell you, your comprehension of section 198 would become very easy. So the reason as to why the government has introduced section 198 in the Companies Act, and that is because to ensure standardization in computation of profit for section 135 and 197, and to ascertain the amount of profit that should be rightfully used for determining maximum ceiling under section 197 and amount liable for minimum CSR spending as per section 135. And this is what you have to remember forever. Once you understand this, अगर आपने ये फंडामेंटल बात समझ ली, क्या बात समझ ली कि मैनेजरियल सीलिंग के लिए किस प्रॉफिट को कंसिडर किया जाता है, मैनेजरियल रेम्यूनरेशन की सीलिंग के लिए उन प्रॉफिट्स को कंसीडर किया जाता है जिसके कमाने में मैनेजरियल पर्सनल का डायरेक्ट कंट्रीब्यूशन है. वो सारे प्रॉफिट्स, वो सारी इनकम जो कि जिनमें मैनेजरियल पर्सनल का कोई कंट्रीब्यूशन नहीं है, वो सारे खर्चे जिनके लिए मैनेजरियल पर्सनल रिस्पॉन्सिबल नहीं है, ऐसे सारी इनकम, ऐसे सारे खर्चे, दे हैव टू बी केप्ट आउट, दे हैव टू बी एक्सक्लूडेड when you are calculating profit under section 198. And this is the theme, friends, that you have to understand. If you understand this theme, then I can tell you your life is going to be very, very easy as far as computation of profit under section 198 is concerned, as far as determining ceiling of managerial remuneration under section 197 is concerned. So what are we going to cover in this session? So we are going to cover in this session, number 1, meaning and significance of profit as per section 198 and rationale behind computation of such profit. And that rationale I have already given to you just few minutes ago. Number 2, clarity about various provisions of section 198. तो हम क्या करेंगे, हम section 198 को क्लॉज बाय क्लॉज, प्रोविजन बाय प्रोविजन, सब सेक्शन बाय सब सेक्शन एनालाइज करेंगे और समझ के लेंगे कि अगर कोई खर्चा is to be excluded, then why it is to be excluded. If some expense has to be deducted, then why it has to be deducted. If some income has to be included as part of the profit computation, then why it is to be added as part of the profit computation. If some income has to be excluded while computing profit under section 198, why it has to be excluded. Now this is also what we will understand in this session. Number 3 is analysis of each subsection that I have just mentioned to you. Number 4, in the end we come to a question as to where do I start from. So I am sure whether you are a company secretary or a chartered accountant or a cost accountant, doesn't really matter whether you are employed in the company or you are in any other role as an auditor or in some other capacity, or if you are responsible for computation of profit as per section 198. A question that should come to your mind and will come to your mind, and that is, where do I start from? कहाँ से शुरू करूँ मैं? Should I start computation of profit under section 198 from the PBT or PAT or EBITDA or gross profit, or simply from the trial balance? And let me tell you friends, you can start from anywhere. You can simply start from anywhere, and even if you start from anywhere, if you have understood the meaning, the true meaning and the intent of section 198, I can tell you with 100% confidence that doesn't really matter as to where you start from, you will arrive at the same figure of profit under section 198. Doesn't really matter whether you start from the trial balance or you start from the gross profit or you start from the EBITDA or you start from the EBIT or you start from the EBT or you start from the EAT. It has to come. So that is what we will understand as to how it has to be. And we will also understand the meaning of absence or inadequacy of profit. So I am sure when you would read section 197, you would come across this term too often. And what this term is absence or inadequacy of profit. अब इसका क्या मतलब है? What is the meaning? Because schedule 5 becomes applicable in case there are no profits or the profits are inadequate. So what is the meaning of inadequacy of profit or there being no profit? Now be very clear about it at the outset, that inadequacy of profit or no profit is not from the perspective of financial reporting. It is from the perspective of the profit that you compute as per section 198. तो अगर शेड्यूल 5 एप्लीकेबल होनी है और तो आपको ये देखना है कि प्रॉफिट हैं कि नहीं हैं, और अगर हैं तो कम है क्या, उसके लिए योर प्रॉफिट that are given in the financial statement, the profit and loss statement, those profits are irrelevant. Those profits have got no meaning. Then which profit has a meaning? The profit that you have computed as per section 198, those profits have a meaning, and that is what we need to remember, and that is what we need to understand. So let us begin with this same question, and that is, what is absence or inadequacy of profit? So friends, please remember, here the term profit refers to the amount of profit as per section 198. So the phrase absence or inadequacy of profit refers to situation when, number 1, there is a loss as per section 198. यानी कि जिस कंपनी के लिए आप मैनेजरियल रेम्यूनरेशन पे करना चाह रहे हैं या उसकी सीलिंग मालूम करना चाह रहे हैं, यू विल नीड टू कैलकुलेट प्रॉफिट एज पर सेक्शन 198 And while calculating profit as per section 198, if you come to a situation where there is a negative figure in the bottom, and that is the meaning of absence of profit. And number two, the amount of managerial remuneration proposed to be paid by the company exceeds the amount of profit available as per section 198. So the amount of managerial remuneration proposed to be paid by the company exceeds the amount of profit available as per section 198, or in other words, amount of eligibility amount of eligible profit as per section 198. So that means आपने 198 के हिसाब से प्रॉफिट कैलकुलेट किए, लॉस आया, दैट इज एब्सेंस ऑफ प्रॉफिट. आपने सेक्शन 198 के हिसाब से प्रॉफिट कैलकुलेट किया, और वो जो प्रॉफिट आया, राइट, और वो जो प्रॉफिट आया उसका 11% अगर आप लें, that is the maximum managerial remuneration that you can pay. But if you propose to pay managerial remuneration which is more than 11% of these profit that you have computed as per section 198, that means there is a situation of inadequacy of profit. So heading of section 198, and here in this context friends, what you need to remember and understand very clearly, heading of section 198 refers to कैलकुलेशन ऑफ प्रॉफिट. जैसे मैंने आपको थोड़ी देर पहले बताया, हेडिंग ऑफ सेक्शन 198 रेफर्स टू कैलकुलेशन ऑफ प्रॉफिट. बॉडी ऑफ द सेक्शन ऑफ 198 refers to net profit, but what it really means is profit before tax. But which profit before tax? Not the PBT that you will arrive at for the purpose of financial reporting. The profit before tax that you would compute as per section 198 is going to be completely different from the PBT that you would calculate for the purpose of financial reporting. Let me give you an example so as to make it still more clear as to what is the meaning of absence of profit and what is the meaning of inadequacy of profit. So let me explain this to you with the help of an example. So number one, so situation is ABC Limited for the financial year 2020-21 earned a loss of 10 crores as per section 198. So कंपनी ने 198 के हिसाब से प्रॉफिट कैलकुलेट किया और वो जो प्रॉफिट कैलकुलेट किया वहाँ पर 10 करोड़ का लॉस निकला. इसका मतलब क्या है? दिस इज ए सिचुएशन वेयर दिस इज एब्सेंस ऑफ प्रॉफिट. प्रॉफिट है ही नहीं एज पर सेक्शन 198 एंड दैट इज योर एब्सेंस ऑफ प्रॉफिट. What is the meaning of inadequacy of profit? Let us take another example. So company XYZ Limited for the financial year 2021 earned a profit of rupees 20 crore as per section 198. तो section 198 के हिसाब से profit calculate किया and how much that profit is coming to? That profit is coming to 20 crores. Now the company wishes to pay a managerial remuneration of rupees 2.5 crore. तो कंपनी क्या चाहती है? कंपनी चाहती है कि भाई हम हमारे जो मैनेजरियल पर्सनल हैं उनको हम 2.4 करोड़ का मैनेजरियल रेम्यूनरेशन पे करें. सो नाउ व्हाट इज द आउटकम? द आउटकम इज since the profit is 20 crore and the upper limit as per section 197 on the managerial remuneration is of 11%. So 11% of for 20 crore profit computed as per section 198, it comes to how much? It comes to 2.2 crore and the company is wanting to pay remuneration of 2.4 crore. So as per section 11, the maximum remuneration that the company can pay is 2.2 crore. Company is wanting to pay a profit of a managerial remuneration of 2.4 crore. It means what? It means this is a situation of inadequacy of profit. That means the profits which are available as per section 198 are not enough to pay the maximum, to pay the remuneration that the company is wanting to pay, which is in excess of 11% as specified in section 197. So I am sure friends this must be absolutely clear to you as to what is the meaning of absence of profit and what is the meaning of inadequacy of profit. Let's go further and understand what is the meaning, significance and rationale behind computation of profit as per section 198. And then we will take a pause here and we would continue from here in another part of the same session. So what is the meaning, significance and rationale behind computation? I have already explained to you. Just to sum it up, please understand what is supposed to be computed under section 198. Is it the net profit or both? And I would say, though section 198 at one place says profit, at another place says net profit, really speaking, what they're meaning the same thing, and what their meaning is not profit nor it is net profit. It is the profit before tax for the purpose of section 198. Section 198(1) refers to net profit, but it is not the net profit in that sense of it. It is actually to arrive at profit earned during the year from the business operations of the entity and exclude, please remember, and exclude all non-operational items of income and expenses, and these cannot be credited to the managerial personnel of the company for the purpose of computation of net profit as per section 198. So friends, with this we would take a pause here. हम लोग यहाँ पर रुकेंगे और ये इसके बाद का जो पोर्शन है हम उसको अगले सेशन में कवर करेंगे. सो टिल देन थैंक यू सो मच. थिंक अबाउट इट. अगर कोई डाउट है, कोई क्वेरी है तो आप ज़रूर मुझे व्हाट्सएप करिए या ये जो यूट्यूब है इस पर आप कमेंट में रिप्लाई करिए. मैं ज़रूर आपके जो भी डाउट्स होंगे, जो भी क्वेरीज होंगे, जो भी क्वेश्चंस होंगे उनको डेफिनेटली आंसर करूंगा और पक्का करूंगा कि आपके जो डाउट्स हैं, आपके जो क्वेश्चंस हैं, आपकी जो क्वेरीज हैं वो सारी की सारी आगे वाले हमारे डिस्कशंस में या तो कवर हो चुकी होंगी और अगर नहीं हुई होंगी तो आई विल एंश्योर दैट आई डू cover them. So thank you so much and wish you all the very best. See you soon for the next session. Thank you.